So this video will show you how you can start with creating the underlay or your own design, so you can do any design you want. So I'm doing my own design. Just basically I want to switch the kilometers per hour speedometer to the inside, and the kilometers and this to be miles per hour. So I'm not really gonna show all possible steps, as this is quite a lot fiddly here and there. So I'm only going to show one of the more important bits and pieces, and you can do that yourself later. So I've already imported the scan version. So this is 300 dots per inch. You can do 600 if you want, but the details don't really matter that much. So first I need to rotate it to be roughly horizontal. Doesn't really need to be horizontal that much, but still. So I'll start with the speedometer here. So first I'm gonna add a new layer, and I call it Speedo. And it's already created one. I was doing some tests. So I've already really done it. This is just to show how it can be done. So first you need a circle. So it doesn't really, I'm holding the control in order for this to be relatively good circle, to keep the dimensions. So I'm again holding the control and dragging it. So I'll try to be as good a circle as I can. So I reduce the transparency so I can see how it fits. And this is actually pretty good. It's almost there. Probably have to reduce it a bit from that side. I suspect that's about right. I can probably increase it a bit more, but yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe a bit down. Probably not. So that's almost as good. So yeah, you can increase if you want slightly here with but that's quite good. I mean, you can play around and be as precise as you can. So the next phase is to create these lines. So what I'm gonna do is click on the create rectangles and basically draw a rectangle. It doesn't really matter what size, but you can specify the sizes as you want. It's just a test, so it doesn't really need to be that precise. So let's say width is I'll put it in pixels. So let's say width is 25 and height is say 5. So I'll zoom a bit. So now I'll select the circle and the rectangle together, holding the shift key, and then I'll align center on vertical axis and then center or horizontal axis. So this will be exactly in the middle. I'll click somewhere else and then click on the rectangle again, and I'll hold the control and I'll move it aside so it's horizontally moving. Zoom a few more times. So now if you click second time, so you can see this post line here is the center of the object, and you have to click on this snap an item's rotation center. So now I'll drag this center rotation to the center here, so they can snap the circle and the rectangle will snap together. So, and now I need to select the circle and then the rectangle and then align left, so this will go to the very left edge. So basically now what you can do is click second time. So this doesn't really so you have to put it again there in the center of circle. So now when you really rotate this will actually rotate according to the side of the on the edges of the the circle, the speedometer. Click second time, so I basically put it on 10. As good as it gets, just because it's a test. So I've calculated these at 27, so if I want to really put them down here, so I don't really want to create these individually, so there's a very good option in Inkscape. So basically you can click on create tiled clones, and then I need to do 26 columns in the tiling. Shift is minus 100% per column. Scale, so I leave it as it is. And rotation is basically 360 degrees divided by 26, and that's 13.8 degrees. So if I click create, this will really, as you can probably see, this really populated all these lines, so you can see they perfectly match. So that's how you create these. I mean, you can play around and create them with your sizes. Then the next is you can basically easily just delete those that you don't need. So then I have those. I mean, you can play around with these. So the next thing is to create the numbers, so I can easily do that. So let's say we want 30, and then I would want to use Euro styles. I mean, that seems as close to my font as possible, but you can choose any font you want. I mean, that's really anything's doable here. And this goes pretty slow actually. But then I can select it once, then I can copy it. Basically trying to find the Euro styles font. Here we go, Euro styles, and then I'll say, let's say it's bold, and it's probably too much. I'll say 35, probably less than that, 20, and that's probably not 20, but 30. So if I really put that next to it, it's about there. It's probably about right. Probably minus a bit. It's probably about right. So you can create those. So you can probably create those as much as you want. So let's say create as much as you want, but you can play around with those. But that's how I select. That's how you can. I'm always click on different. So that's how you can create these numbers. Same with the stop, really. So I can put the stop in there. Right, so I have to probably a bit smaller than 30. Let's say 28. Oops. So I'm not really, haven't really selected it. But that's you can really play around with those. The next really is the same with these and the same with the numbers. That's not really that difficult to do. One of the really tricky bits, probably of the whole design, is these intricate. So I zoom these intricate shapes. But that's not too bad. So one can really select this, draw Bezier curves and straight lines, and you can just click individually and draw around it. I mean, I'm not really the best expert at this Inkscape. I'm sure there are a lot better ways to do that. This really works for me, so it's so I found that it works for me, and I can't really spend much more time of finding how this works. So stroke style, let's say 0.1. So let's say 0.01 to be a bit let's say 0.1, just easier. So you can really play around with this thing. So if you click on this edit path by nodes, so you can select quite a few of these, and then if you go, one can do this auto smooth, or you can basically select them all and auto smooth, so they'll be really kind of smooth. So you can really drag those and really play around and make the shape quite good, and so on. Let me select this and probably do less this 0.05. So you can really play around with those, make them get the best you want it to be. And then once you've really done that, so you can easily move it around, so it looks quite alright. So then what you can do is with the other one on the right, basically you can copy this image. One can really do duplicate, so object, not object, so you can do edit and duplicate. So this could be duplicated, and then the two of which are the same size, and then you can flip horizontally, and then basically you can drag that around. It's about the same here. So this fairly easy, but you can play around with. So let me delete the back layer, so you can see how these are. I mean, you can play around with these shapes here and to be really smooth and really nice. Let me bring that back, so you could draw around those and here and really play around with this. But that's how I normally do it. Probably there is a better way. So the next are a few of these designs. I really simplified those. There's just too many of these. I made one circle. I have it open here, so I'll open it later. But basically that here, it's not a full circle, it's slightly cut the circle, so one can really create a circle and then draw another circle. I mean, I'm just doing it quick, not entirely, not calculating and really putting it together, but you can select, draw two circles, select them both, and then if I remember correctly, you do path and then exclusion, I think exclusion, and then really cast this in the middle. So then if you do path, they break apart. Really these are separate, so then you can delete that part. And really you have this curve here that is already here. And then you can create that circle. That's not a problem. So this is really this curve here. It's slightly smaller curve. It's smaller than that one, but it's just to show how this is being done. Well, the circle is slightly bigger, so you have to draw this circle and then cut it. But that's how this is being done. So this design is quite tricky. The same with that one. So really, if we go zoom that one, so it doesn't. These really don't look too good, but I click on that one. So these don't really look too good, but once you play around with it, they become pretty smooth. I'll show you what I've done and how they look like. So the same with these, you can have a circle here and populate these so to be equal, and the same with these, so these are slightly smaller ones, and you have to calculate how many degrees and so on, so to perfectly fit like those. Something else, if I'm forgetting something else, I can't really remember. That's how I do it. There are probably easier ways, but then you've done all your design, and then you basically have to delete this layer, and what is left will be your design. I mean, you don't really have anything. So I suspect these have to be some other color rather than this has to be black rather than red, but then you can play around and create the color of those. So I'll really show what, but that's how I've really done it. So you populate those, and then you basically delete the rest. So you outline that one as well, and then just fill in the black and different white bits and so on. And one can play around, and you can do your own designs. So you can put whatever figure, so any design really you want. So this is what I've achieved. That is my design. So I'll zoom in a few bits. So really these are all individual numbers. So I've drawn from these previous that were miles, so I've really just drawn them horizontally to here with the center, so I can drag these and they'll move to where they're supposed to be. And these are fairly fitted, and these are for the kilometers, for the miles, I've really tried to play around with, because roughly about 48 kilometers per hour is about 30 miles, so it's about there, 111 or so. So it's, you have to, if you want to do this, you have to play around. So here is what I was talking about. This so this is also the circle here and the outline. So here is what I really talked about. So this is what I've done with this outlining and playing around, and it looks really good, and it's not too bad. So I flipped that one. There's some, I mean, I haven't really made this quite well here. It's I can probably play around more and make it perfect, and probably there's a better way. But when you print it and zoom it out, that's really small detail. You don't really see. My printer doesn't really have that resolution, so that's not too bad. And probably the worst detail of them all is this gas pump, and I've played around a lot with it, but it looks quite good. And yeah, you can select it and so on and play even more. So yeah, you can see the dots, and you can drag them. Probably if you want, and so on. So that is my design, and I've simplified really here only white dots. This is really just red. I think that's about it. I don't really have much more, so you can create anything you want. So I'm trying to see if I can rotate this. Probably not. Well, you can see the different bits that are left. So this is some sort of a semicircle. And let me see if I can delete. So this is only left. So that's really my design. Just because it takes a lot of time, I'm not really going to explain every single bit because it really takes too much. But that's how I've done it with this create tile and close. But if you get familiar with Inkscape or some other software, Photoshop, you can do it in anything. So then I really save this as a SVG format, because it will lose resolution, and then I'll save it as a PDF in order to print it out. That's it. If you have really any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer them if it's not entirely clear how you can do that. But you can do any designs you want. You can do your own designs, and instead of this white you can have, I don't know. So thank you.